Hey everyone, welcome back to Jim's Movie Musings. It's been a while since my last video. I've been off doing other things, but I'm happy to welcome you all back with the review of Rurouni Kenshin, the final. Rurouni Kenshin, the final is the fourth installment of the very popular Rurouni Kenshin film series, which is adapted from an anime that was popular in the 90s and the early 2000s, which in turn was adapted from a very popular manga. Okay, the first three installments of Rurouni Kenshin, which started I think back in 2012, were theatrically released. Rurouni Kenshin the Final and its subsequent prequel uh, marked the first time that the series was migrated onto a streaming platform, in this case Netflix. Okay. Rurouni Kenshin the Final follows, as do all the other films, the adventures of former assassin, now peaceful wandering Ronin Kenshin Himura. Okay, by way of synopsis, okay, this film features a threat from Kenshin's past as an assassin who, having been wronged back in the day, now seeks revenge on Kenshin and threatens to destroy everything he holds dear. And that's pretty much the synopsis for this movie. The problem is, if I'm very honest, it's the synopsis for pretty much every other movie in this series. I mean, with some variations here and there. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much what you get when you see these movies. Now that in and of itself isn't a big problem, because the plots in these movies, and this is pretty consistent. This has been pretty consistent since the first movie. The plots in these movies are ever and always just an excuse to string together the action scenes. And that's really what the audience comes for. Really gritty, visceral, and eye-popping action sequences. The one thing that really sets the live-action adaptation apart from the anime it's based on, and the one reason why these movies are generally worth the price of admission, is that the action sequences, okay, courtesy of director Keiichi Otomo, his choreographers, and of course the star, Kenshin Himura himself, Takeru Sato, are, well, they're a really nice mishmash of good old-fashioned, choreography and some very creative thinking on visualization of something that's as, shall we say, hyper real as anime. Okay, the original Rurouni Kenshin anime didn't really use choreographed action sequences, or rarely ever did, because I suppose largely of the constraints of animating fighting, especially something as intricate as Japanese sword fighting. Rather, you'd see all kinds of tricks like speed lines, or you'd see maybe Kenshin drawing his blade and then a flash of light, signifying that something happened, and then people falling down. I mean, that was the usual extent of the sword fighting that we'd see. And we rarely, if ever, saw, actual choreographed sword fights, swordplay. And the movies have kind of scratched our itch in terms of that. In from the first movie to this one, there has been quite a bit of impressive action, and this movie doesn't disappoint in that regard. However, the formula that they've been using to propel this series forward has gotten a bit old, I'll admit. I followed these movies from day one. I appreciate them for what they are. They are not high drama. They are basically reproductions of a cartoon. And like I said, the main attraction has ever and always been the action. And that's fine. The movies are mainly unpretentious that way, but they are not without their limitations. Like I said, this is the first movie in the series that is on Netflix, and that is launching on Netflix. And it's the first movie that's starting to show the series' age. Okay, in the past, I reviewed these movies over on my blog, Jim's Film Ramblings. And this is the first movie I'm reviewing on YouTube. And in the past, I've given the initial installments a free pass for their kind of skimpy plots, because I've always known that the plots were never the main attraction here. Still aren't. And there's still no pretense to that effect. However, you know, I as a fan of the first three movies have to admit this is getting old. Okay. So yeah, there's still one more movie left in the series which I will watch and review, but I just decided to let you know that these things are out. They're on Netflix. Some of you may not have checked them out yet. I think especially for fans of the anime, they are worth checking out. That said, yeah, my interest in these movies is really starting to taper off. It really has gotten a bit repetitive over the years. And I say this as someone who enjoyed the first three movies. Okay, but the action's still there. It's still worth checking it out. So my comments notwithstanding, I'm still giving this movie a 7 out of 10. If you have time to spare, and these days considering that a lot of us are going back into lockdown really soon, this could be one of the movies you check out. All right, and that's it from my return review. I hope you guys like this video. Remember, if you like what you see, give us a like and a subscribe.